Welcome in, YCN Sports Talk. Jeremy Stout, Dustin Ribellini. Another week, and we are finally here. Super Bowl week, Dustin. It's been a long 2 weeks, especially for us Patriots fans waiting for that another Super Bowl appearance. It's their seventh Super Bowl for Brady and Belichick, ninth as a franchise. Going into this Super Bowl, there's been a lot of them. They were underdogs by 14 points against the Rams. They were big, 10, 11, 12-point favorites against your Giants. I try to forget that one, but two times, yeah. And then they were a pick-em against the Seahawks. I believe it closed that a couple years ago. This one, they're 3-point favorites. What's different in this Super Bowl than the other ones they've been in?
I guess this one there was more adversity to get there. We know the whole Deflategate situation where Brady was out for 4 games. So for me, the biggest thing for them was all the stuff they had to overcome. A lot of injuries, too. Rob Gronkowski, we've talked about on this program many a time. Martellus Bennett, we'll get into that later, banged up. A lot of guys banged up. And for me, for the Patriots, this was a more reassuring one. You're Belichick, say his sons are on the staff now, so that's big for him.
Yes.
Brady revealed last night there was something going on with his family. His mother's been very sick. So for him, it's very important this season. So for me, it's all the adversity they've got over to get to this point. Now they hope to finish it off with a win.
And obviously the players that come and go, sometimes they're the same type of players because we know what Belichick likes, and you've got a LeGarrette Blount as the running back who's not really a focal point, and then but he can contribute completely, as we've seen in the past. And this year, different receivers. Edelman, he's in that role, the possession receiver like a Welker used to be in, and Edelman's been in the last few years, and now you've got Chris Hogan emerging. So although it's kind of like the same team and it seems like a lot of the same pieces, but maybe it's really just Brady and Belichick are the same and everybody else is different, but it just seems like it's going to be it should be an exciting matchup.
It should be a good game. It should be a lot of points scored up and down the field, a lot of playmakers on both sides of the ball. You know, I don't see it being a blowout like some of the Patriots playoff games have been this year. I think the Falcons can challenge them defensively. We'll get into that in a second. But I think it's going to be a very exciting game to watch, and it's going to be a very interesting compare and contrast. A team that's been there before versus a team that's coming there for the first time. See how they adjust.
All right, and let's get into that Patriots side of the ball. When they have the ball, we know Tom Brady's going to be the focal point. Right now he's the basically even money favorite for MVP out in Vegas, and he's obviously the catalyst behind this Patriots offense. Are there any wrinkles, or what kind of game plan do you see them coming in? This pass rush of Atlanta isn't completely feared, but they're good. They have the edge pass rushers as opposed to up the middle like the Giants had. What kind of game plan? Any wrinkles? Any gadget plays? We saw them with the flea flicker last week or 2 weeks ago.
I don't think there's going to be anything huge that comes, new things. Sure, there'll be a couple small things here and there, maybe a trick play, maybe like we've seen that in the past. But I think you're still going to see the Patriots come out early, try to throw the ball, get the lead. And we talked about before the show, the Falcons' run defense is not elite. You know, their pass rush is okay. It's not an elite defense, but I see them getting the lead early with Brady, and then maybe a lot more LeGarrette Blount in the second half.
Right. Okay. So now flipping over, we'll get to the Falcons next, but flipping over to the Patriots when they're on defense. Falcons have a tremendous number of weapons. Julio Jones a little bit banged up. We'll get to him as well later in the show. How do they defend this team? Do they put 6 defensive backs in there? The tight ends aren't really a weapon, but the 3 receivers, Sanu, Gabriel, and Julio Jones, and then the 2 running backs. But the tight ends aren't really a factor, but do they do that? 6 DBs, they play a zone. How do they match up against them on the defensive side?
Well, right now, so far this season, nobody's been able to match up with them defensively, so that's the hardest thing. For me, we know they're going to try to limit Julio Jones. I don't think you can take him away. He's too good of a receiver. He's a little different than Antonio Brown when they played him in the championship. For the biggest key for me is you got to limit the running backs, not only on the ground, but out of the backfield. Those running backs have made some big plays out of the backfield this postseason. So you can stop the run game, per se, but you got to watch for these guys sneaking out of the backfield because they're quick and elusive when they catch the ball.
And you say the way you match up with, say, a Julio Jones, a lot of people say, oh, well, you double cover and you put the bracket coverage or the safety help and you leave everyone else in one-on-one. But that kind of seems dangerous because everyone else is, I'm not saying they're as good as Julio Jones, but they're pretty darn good. It's almost like just take your chances on a regular one-on-one matchup with the safeties and a general defense.
That's the thing that they could do against Pittsburgh because Pittsburgh didn't have a big number 2 receiver. Atlanta has a good number 2, a good number 3, and 2 good running backs. They got 5 or 6 weapons on this offense. It's not just Julio Jones.
Right, okay, so in the early going, if you're watching the game, maybe the first quarter, 15, 20 minutes, what would you look for to see that, okay, the Patriots have a good chance to win this game, other than the fact maybe they're up 21-0? Like what, whether it be in the trenches or on the outsides or some matchup that might not be talked about, but you're saying, they're struggling with this or they're really doing well. What would give you a hint that the Patriots are in control?
For me, it would be, can they get Chris Hogan or someone else to emerge as that number 2 receiver? We know Edelman's going to get
8
catches for 100 yards. We saw early in that game against Pittsburgh, Chris Hogan was getting whatever he wants.
Right.
If he's finding openings in the secondary like he did last time, or Malcolm Mitchell, I'd say it's going to be a long night for the Falcons.
Right, and I think also on the defensive side for the Falcons, if they're getting that upfront pressure, then the Patriots might have a struggle a little bit more. But if that Vic Beasley's coming off the edge, it doesn't hurt the Patriots as much.
Right.
Brady steps right up. So
we've seen Brady be hurt more by the up the middle
right.
rush.
So if the Patriots are stopping that, that might help as well. So we'll do a little bit more preview in the final segment when we make our picks. But we're going to take a quick break and come right back. We'll talk about the other team, the Atlanta Falcons, and how do they capture the Super Bowl. And Matt Ryan, his first experience in the Super Bowl, will that hurt him? We'll come right back. You're watching YCN Sports Talk.